You order a buttery nipple, bitch. That is a gay drink.
That's my favorite drink. Okay.
I know.
Welcome to another Latino With A Podcast and the Latino With A Podcast, and today I'm with the Queeny B. That's legal name.
I wish it was my legal name.
It is your legal name. I was just telling, like, one of the first time I saw you was in a show doing in Kill My Name. That was an amazing show. And I remember it was one of the first person that I saw. I was like, I can do better than this bitch. And
Still chasing that dream,
still
honestly.
chasing that dream. No, but I was like, dude, like, I want to be doing this. And I was like, okay, I need to do it in English. I need to start again to like work my shit and get back again. And I believe that show, I went with my girlfriend, and it's not my girlfriend anymore. And
Say her name,
Valerie
full
Mejia.
name, and street address.
But I don't know her full address because she moved with
He's
her
really not good at stalking
because
people.
she
It's
moved
been a problem.
with her current husband. So
Oh, okay. Well.
so that's why that's why I don't stalk anymore. Like, I broke the first marriage. The second one is safe.
That's hers. That's hers to do.
But for how long? I don't know for how long you have been doing stand-up.
Let's see. November 11th is my 5-year comedy anniversary.
Are you gonna do something? A show, a special, an album?
No. I have nothing planned.
A notebook.
I'm just going to keep going, doing what I'm doing, and just hope that maybe an agent will show up. I don't know.
The agents will not show. You have to
I know.
chase them. But I want this story because you have a joke that I love that is like when you went to a place that was like white folks, like Cracker Barrel style.
Oh, God.
And the joke is that
I wish it was Cracker Barrel. It was worse than that.
I love the joke because you're like, I gotta fake that. I don't know what I'm not gonna do, and you end up confusing them more.
Oh, yeah. So that was originally that piece is about me going to Coleman, Wisconsin.
Okay.
So Ariel and Bob, two comics in the Chicago scene, some of my closest friends, booked me to do this show. I literally didn't ask any follow-up questions. She's just like, do you want to go and do a show in northern Wisconsin? That's all she said. And I said, yes. She said, this is the date. I said, okay.
You were headlining, right?
No, she was headlining.
Okay.
But I didn't ask anything. And then we get into the car, and she said it at the venue. I'm almost positive she said it when I got into the car, because I remember I had to start preparing for myself. Because at this point, I hadn't been doing just straight comedy. I had just released an album, so I was doing a lot of like variety stuff. So I was doing a lot where I would have like a 15 to 20 minute set, but I would have like 3 songs mixed into it. So I wasn't doing like a lot of long like stand-up sets.
Beautiful voice for singing. I forgot about that.
Thank you.
We're gonna do a song at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's
a little beautiful song.
I haven't prepared anything. But so I'm like, I haven't been doing like a lot of just straight stand-up in a while. And so we get in there, and she tells me, she's like, look, it's Coleman, Wisconsin. I'm like, ooh, never heard of that before. And like, population's like really low. I think it's like 750 people. It's probably mostly white. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty Trumpy, but like, it'll be fine. It's the first day of
Your
hunting
makeup
season,
is on point.
so we'll see what the turnout's like. I'm like, okay. And she's like, oh, and you're opening, and we're going to need you to do 30. And I'm like,
that's why I thought you were headlining.
Right. So she did 45. So
Okay.
Ariel was headlining. So both me and Bob did 30. And I'm like, okay, cool. Walk it. And so now I'm going through my entire Rolodex of work, trying to like remind myself of all these bits that I stopped using because I hadn't been doing just stand up in a while. Yeah. So a lot of it was rusty. So I'm sitting here like, oh, crap. And then I walk in, and I truly do. Everyone stops and stares. And I'm just like, Okay.
But you felt the minds were like, what the fuck? You know?
Oh yeah, they didn't know what the hell happened. Like a lot of them were like families that were about to leave because they weren't there for the show. They knew the show was happening.
Have you seen this video that is it went famous in the internet like years ago? That is like a guy is like, oh, I like your house, I want it, and then another, he's like, no, get the fuck out of my house. And one, I don't know how he identifies or she identifies, but it's like a guy with long hair but a beard, and he's like, Daddy, chill, and he's like, what the fuck is even that? I believe that was like the people sitting like,
oh yeah.
what is this?
No, every time, and I literally, and I make the joke that I like every time I look up, I got to watch 8 people break eye contact like I was playing a game, and it really was a thing. Every time I looked up, there was someone who was just like, and it was just, and then someone asked me for what drink I wanted, and I was thinking, and it was like I was gonna order a gay drink, but I was just like, no, I was gonna order a beer, but now I felt like I had to.
There's nothing as gay drinks.
Oh no, there's a gay drink.
No,
if you
no.
order a buttery nipple, bitch, that is a gay drink.
That's my favorite drink. Okay.
I know. This is an intervention.
Miko, the episode is like coming out of the closet with Christian and his mayor. I'm the one.
There you go.
What is that drink? What does he have?
A buttery nipple? I don't remember. It's something.
Do you just like the name?
Yeah, it's just a good name.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you were gonna order a buttery.
Yeah, no,
nipple?
I was ordering a beer, and I was just like, well, now I have to order a beer, or else they're gonna be looking at me like this queer. So I go up, and then the guy who was opening the show, like the host of the situation, you could tell he was a local who, like, this is his only stage time is when this show happens. So he's not like a host.
Okay.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Entertainer.
Right. Like he's barely that. And so he's just going on about like, Trump, crazy, right? And then Biden, crazy, right? What's going on with the world? Oh my God, I don't know what's happening. Isn't everything crazy? Anyway, Queenie.
He didn't say bitch.
Oh, I was just like, and I walk up, I was just like, hi, everyone. And then, like, weirdly, the set went very well. Like, they actually really liked me.
Because you're very funny.
Right. Well, you know, and then I go up and everyone likes me. Afterwards, all the people who are like breaking eye contact are like giving me the thumbs up and everything.
From far?
Yeah. From like, well, they were just like, oh, good job. Like trying to make eye contact with me to tell me good job. Someone buys me a drink at the bar. They were trying to go out and party with us afterwards. It was a great night. But then Ariel comes to me at a certain point. It's like, wow. You didn't change anything for this group. You didn't take anything out. You didn't cut anything. It's like I needed my whole portfolio for this. I couldn't have the ability to cancel, to like take anything out. I was just lucky that everything worked, so it didn't look like I had to.
But have it happened that you're performing? Okay, this day was amazing. But has it happened that you're performing and someone is like, not this shit, or being like really heckly about you?
I mean, it happened recently at Zany's, but they weren't at me. It was actually at Pat Bolduck, which was weird because he did well on that roast. We were doing a roast and for roast battle, and it was just people who were like overly drunk. And I think they think like when you're roasting me and I'm in like full regalia, they think they're standing up for me. And I'm just like, I know him. I don't know you. Yeah. Like, I agreed to do this. I know he was going to be mean to me. That was the point.
Yeah, there are some people that they see roast battle. Like, I have a roast battle against Zoe Dodson, who is amazing. She won 5-0 because her jokes were phenomenal. But I believe I did have some reactions that the jokes were funny, but since it was against a woman, instead of like laughter, I got like, oh.
Yeah, you get a weird situation. Like, me against another woman is fine.
Okay.
For whatever reason, they're fine with that. But if anyone calls me she on anything and any joke, they're fine in the room. Okay. But Middle America sees the clip and loses their goddamn mind. And they're just like, the half dude lost. And I'm sitting there just like, I'm just like a person. I'm not like actually trans. I don't know why. Like, I'm just showing up on stage.
But with Zoe, I remember like one of the jokes I have, it was like, it was really mean. but it was like if NASA could only see Soy's chest from space, they would be like, yeah, there is flat. And people were like, like no,
Yeah.
don't do that, like no. But I know they wanted to laugh, but they were like, nope.
Well, it's like
This
a
is
weird.
a little more step of
Oh
out
yeah,
of the
like
line.
everyone like they want to do the whole like, oh well, you can't make a joke about that. It's like, well, then what can I joke about? If I can't hit the identity or appearance, then like
Yeah.
what's left? Like, what do you want me to do? Like that, I was booked to be mean,
Yeah.
and this person knew that I was supposed to be mean for this.
Yeah, but I believe the audience, if you go against minorities,
Yeah.
the audience instinctively go like,
Well, it's your
to
fault for
defend.
being so light skinned.
yeah,
You know, they're like Henningsmeyer,
Dude,
white guy.
I have said this. My problem is like Spanish, like this is like the second, third time I said it on the podcast, but Japanese to English sounds charming. That's Fujiko. Everything she says sounds super charming. It's like we love her. Russian to English, everything they say sounds funny because of the accent. But I believe because of the Mexicans and all the Latinos, they're like their English is kind of close to being right, but it's not right. The pronunciation is not good. The feeling of people like watching is like, no, pronounce it right. Like,
Yeah.
I know you can. we know you can pronounce it right. Just
You were
fucking
so
do it the right
close.
way.
You were so close.
It's not like, oh, nice accent. Like he's really trying. It's like, no, do it the right way. If you're in this country, I'm like, okay, I'm really trying to say squirrel, but I can't. Okay, like I'm really trying for a long time. Like the Y, we pronounce it like j. It's like a j sound. So jello, I said jello, John, and then people are like, we don't know what the fuck you're saying. The gelatin, like
Yeah.
it's like no, the color, like oh yellow.
My favorite is when they text it though. Is like when they actually text instead of ha ha ha, it's ja ja ja. And I'm just like,
yeah,
okay.
for us that J is ha.
I know.
It's ja. I've been laughing like with the age with my friends in Spanish, and they're like so disappointed. It's like we
That's
lost
not how
you.
we say it.
That's not how we laugh.
Yeah.
In Spanish, you will read it as ah. That's how we laugh. Okay, I have a few topics to talk about.
Okay.
One of it is, and I believe soon we're gonna do a pause, but I believe this is a nice intro before the pause. Lately, I've been seeing like a lot of this happening. And what do you do for work?
I'm a makeup artist
Perfect, makeup artist. But in a company or by yourself, it's like,
in a company.
well, they have been saying, and I agree completely that you have to be decent to mediocre in your work because at the moment that you're doing your best and you're like really trying and really doing good,
Yeah.
you're fucked up. Like you're gonna get more jobs. You're the important person of the company, and it's like I don't wanna do this shit.
That's the thing that I deal with now is like I'm good at what I do. So now, because I work into like a retail makeup and skincare, and so now if there's anyone who's like out of town or whatever it is, then now I'm over there now. You know, and they keep saying it's like, well, you know, it's because you're good. It's like, I know, I'm gonna start mismatching people on foundations. I'm just gonna have people walking out all orange and shit, and just be like, oops, I don't know, I thought it was a good match.
And then you're gonna have more day off
so
because
I can stay where I want to be.
no,
Yeah.
and if someone quits immediately, it's like Queenie is good enough. She can take both
we can
both
put
works
that position
without the money, right?
Yeah.
Like no problem.
Oh yeah. Can you be MOD for today? Am I getting paid anymore? Of course not. You're crazy.
So like I work in a I used to work in kitchens like as a cook because obviously I'm illegal immigrant. Actually, I'm not illegal, so but I used to
Call ICE though.
They will come here. I'll show them my papers. They were like, fuck.
Damn, someone wasted our time.
Not again. They take you for some reason like that.
Oh,
Interrogation.
they'll be like, I don't know where you go, but it's not here.
It's not in a basement of Venezuela, and we're saving you for some reason. I work as a cook, and I realized that the more efficient you are as a cook, the more work you have. Same pay.
Oh yeah.
So I just started being slower for just to not get extra loads of work.
I learned that when at my first job when I was at Portillo's. So I was in the service industry before this for like 16 years. And that was like my main thing. I missed pieces of it. You know,
Business, okay.
I mean, I miss the culture of it. You know, like there is I was in fine dining, so there was a lot of like. There's a lot of like art to it, you know, like it was a higher level than just, it wasn't just like Olive Garden, here's your shit, you know? So like there was a theater to it. There was a lot of tools that you had to like, if someone was angry, you had the tools to shut them up by just impressing them.
Yeah.
You know, so there was a lot of cool things to it. It was also a grind, you know, so it was just there was a certain point where I'm like, I don't love this like I used to, and it's like it's starting to grate at me.
I believe you start hating it exactly the moment that you become the important person of the company.
Oh no, that didn't happen, unfortunately. I was a manager for like 6 years. Like there was as I started getting, the thing for me was I realized I didn't want that next job. Right? Like I was at the Waldorf managing the restaurant that was there before the pandemic, and I saw what my assistant general manager and what my general manager, what their jobs were. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that, because it took me away from the service floor, and that was the only thing I really wanted to do.
Okay.
And then I realized, like, well, I can't just be like a floor dog for the next 40 years. Eventually my body's going to give out.
This is the thing. I believe the work environment has been so shitty lately that escalating in positions that was something really wanted like before, because I believe the promotion and the extra money before was worth it. Now it's like, oh, instead of 20 you're gonna make 25 an hour. It's like that $5 is like
well
nothing.
And then also, and especially like in restaurants, you don't, like in retail, I feel like if you get a promotion you actually do get more money. It may not be enough more money, but you do get more money. In restaurants, you get a promotion up to management, you lose a lot of money.
Because you don't get tips anymore.
Right. So like in the summer when your servers may be making like $100,000 a year. Well, your starting salary is 50. So you're literally, you're working twice as much as them. You're just like, you have all the stress. You don't really get days off. You're on a salary.
Yeah,
so on the holidays, they can just work you. And then really you're making McDonald's money.
Yeah, and you're the person who manage problems. Like, they have a problem, and it's like, this is not my shit.
Yeah, they just get to clock out. They just get to go like, hey, can you, I'm going to, and then they're out of it.
Table 24 pull out a gun. Can you manage? You're like,
can you go manage that? I'm not
okay.
a manager. It was a high caliber. I don't feel safe. I'm gonna go drink some coffee in the back. Bye.
Yeah, you're like, okay. We're gonna make a pause. We're gonna find out who pulled out the gun. Probably a Trumpist, but we're gonna be back in a moment.
It was.
And we are back. It was a Trumpist. It was a high caliber, but he was just showing off, so it's okay.
By a Trumpist, we mean someone who plays the trumpet.
Exactly.
Of the brass instruments, they are always the most violent and unhinged. Everyone knows that.
I like that. I'm a trumpist, and people just start hating the person. It's like, and he, with his trumpet, like,
all the trumpet players are just like, I'm a trumper, but not that. I don't like him.
It's not what you think. Let me explain.
No, I just really like Berlioz and Beethoven.
But going, because do you think it's gonna reverse at some point? That at some point it's gonna be like people will want to escalate in management positions again? Because I truly believe, like, how we're raising the next generation, everybody's like, I'm gonna do the less I can do and live my life.
Well, that's because
we're dying.
There aren't as much like, I feel like the wages were better before, right? Because they were mostly the same, but cost of living was much lower.
And you have like the loyalty in a company give you like nice bonuses and nice retirement plans.
Well, yeah, and people used to stay in companies longer because there was actually benefit to doing so. You had pensions, and you had you had guaranteed retirement. You would start making money. You would have raises every year. There was a lot of compensation benefits that went towards the worker. Now it's mostly an investor economy. So it's just like, what is the point of us working harder? Like, I had that issue at the Waldorf. There's a certain point where I was sitting there just like, we are all scraping by, but these investors are getting their money back, but they just like show up and make our lives hell for a day, and they walk away and go on to their next investment.
But I don't know if this has happened, or you have friends that this has happened.
I don't
to
have
them.
friends.
You don't have friends,
No.
okay? But I don't know if you know people that are not your friends this has happened. I have one friend that he was making like 110, 125 with bonuses yearly, which is a really nice salary. But the amount of stress he was getting was so much that when you're in high-paying jobs, it's like you manage a lot of stress. There's like emails at like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And he was managing projects that were like, hey, this is a $2 million project. If you fucked up, we lose
Yeah.
$2 million. So he got so much stress that he started having like sickness, and his kidneys were failing. And he was like, this is enough.
Yeah.
He quit, and now he's like in the rover, like the thing to take care of dogs, and he's a lot happier now, making a lot less money.
Yeah.
But I believe that's where we're going. Like really high paying jobs, the amount of stress you got to deal is like stupid.
Well, and it's also there's so few of those left. The idea that you're gonna go and get those is just kind of like a, you know what, I'll just be over here. You know, like it's just. And I think some of it also just had to do with the pandemic. After the pandemic happened, a lot of companies kind of outed themselves on what their real values were.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have a lot. It was like, we really believe in investing in our employees. You can work with COVID and just not tell anybody, though, right? You know?
We really believe that we take consideration about you being comfortable, but you gotta come to office. Like, what is your fucking problem?
Also, we haven't really been paying into unemployment this whole time, so you're not going to be getting the extended checks.
Yeah, and since you're working from home, you're not in the company, so now you're at 1099. Just letting you know, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I know it rocked the service industry. Like people ask me for like, hey, do you know anyone? Because I'm trying to get into a fine dining. Do you know anyone? Because I know I worked in it for years, and unfortunately, most of my people retired.
Yeah,
after
they
that.
fucking
You know,
left.
after that, they just didn't come back. They found some other job, and they're like, no, actually, this is fine. And it broke this fever dream of just like everything's worth it, and the company's gonna make it worth my while later.
No,
and then after that, there was a very well-known restaurant group in Chicago, one of the top restaurant groups in Chicago, and they have this.
I think I know which one it is.
Yeah, so they have 3 restaurants in the same corner, and they share a kitchen down below. They share a prep kitchen, and that's where everyone has like their family meal together. One person from one of those 3 restaurants got COVID, and so they only shut down the restaurant that person worked at back when we still had the 14 days you have to close. And everyone who knew about the restaurant was like, but they're all connected. Why are the other 2 still open? They're like, I don't know, but don't say anything.
They're not connected on top.
Yeah, and there was
Just in
another
the
one where
basement.
there was one of the managers caught COVID, and they literally just said, just keep wearing a mask and don't tell anyone. But it got out within the industry. Like, it didn't get out into the media, but like the industry people, they found out, and they're like, oh, okay. It was weird.
COVID was such a weird moment. I got quietly fired because I was not like the important one, because I'm not a troublemaker, but like if you overstep on things, like I'm not like, oh yeah, well, I'll just do it. No, I'm like, this is not good. This is not okay. So I started getting.
So you're a communist.
I'm a communist. No, they are a communist. They want me to do like multiple jobs without telling me. They're like, oh, you know, the dishwasher, he couldn't make it today, so you have to do it.
Oh no, that's capitalism, baby.
But I knew I knew the dishwasher, so I text him. It's like, hey, are you okay? Like, what happened? It's like, yeah, they just didn't call me today. And I was like, these motherfuckers. And then I was like, yeah, this is not my job. Like I'm not gonna do this. And when COVID hit and they closed all the restaurants, they were like, yeah, we're just doing deliveries, but we're gonna call you as soon, like immediately, as soon as we open, we're gonna call you back. Obviously, they never wrote me again. I was like, fuck them. And I spent 6 months without a job. Cool.
He got what he deserved.
No.
Yeah, he didn't even want to wash the dishes. Talk about ego. Am I right?
Actually, I had the conversation with the owner. Was like, "What is the problem? You told me you could wash the dishes," and I'm like, "Yeah,
I know how to wash the
yeah.
dishes.
If we have
I
a
didn't say I
problem,
would wash the dishes.
if we have a problem, I'll do it. If I needed to help with the dishes, that doesn't mean I am the dishwasher now. Like, what the fuck?" But the industry was like fucked up, and this connects like because I believe these conversations like it. Sometimes the podcast is funnier. Like I have Botkin. With Botkin, we talk about transphobic babies.
Love that.
Love transphobic babies, but sometimes like more political, more like deep. And I believe this is gonna go a little bit on that way because I don't know if you saw the comments of the Joe Rogan with Trump on YouTube. Not the video per se, but the comments.
Yeah.
All the comments were like, I believe like now a podcast or like content like being made by individuals are more important than the news because like their intake was like, I believe this is more real than what I'm seeing on the news.
Yeah.
So what I put is like, do you believe that the media is so corrupt and so like guided by whoever that it's better to watch news on other channels like it's a double-edged sword because if you get informed in TikTok,
Yeah.
like sometimes you get informed with just like misinformation.
For sure. I mean, I think look, it's hard because it depends on what we're talking about. You need to the thing for me is you need to it's always follow the money. Right? Every situation it's follow the money. Now, if like CNN or NBC have an invested stake in a thing,
Okay.
right? The idea that they are going to report unbiasedly
Yeah.
on that thing these days, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I don't think they'll necessarily give you something that's completely factually incorrect, but they will rob you of context.
Yeah,
right.
They manipulated. Like there was one that when Trump said that he was gonna we're going political, but this is I don't want to talk about the election. It's just like the example. He said that he's gonna cut taxes on tips, and everybody was like, you're gonna fuck up the economy because that's like $16 billion that will not go to the Social Security, and they like cheat on him. Recently, apparently, Kamala was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna cut the tick some taxes." Says she's a fucking hero. Like this is the person with the service. Like it was the same, like law, and
but
different
I think
reaction.
We also know that Trump is not going to be measured and well thought out in the way that he is going to cut taxes on tips.
Yeah, no.
I don't think he has a plan to recoup that money in other policies. Whereas Kamala does,
Okay.
and it's the classic thing that they do when they're talking to progressives is like they're just like, well, she never said how she's gonna pay for it. When you look at the interview, they said 5 times how they're gonna pay for it, but then they leave and it's like, well, I guess we don't have an answer. Like she answered every single question, and it's on her website. It's on
But people see TikToks,
Yeah.
and people see reels, and it's like,
Well,
in
but
this
then-
1
but
minute they
that's the
skip
thing.
a lot of
No, but it's
information.
not even them. It's literally when they're getting interviewed by the person. Like they'll be on with Jake Tapper, and he'll be the entire time. So we're not going to tell us how you're going to pay for it. Like, bitch, I answered your question 5 times on this interview. Like I told you the answer.
I like Kamala
told
being
you.
like this.
Right? Oh my God! But you can tell. I mean, they did it with Bernie. They did it with him. They started comparing him to Hitler, and they're just like, his whole family was almost wiped out by the Holocaust. What are you doing? And they try to call him anti-Semitic, like he's Jewish. What are you doing? Like this doesn't make any sense. And they're wondering why then we ended up with Biden, who's just this like doddering old man. It's like, well, because you made the other guy look like he was crazy. And then now you're in this situation, and they're just like, at the end of the day, the issue that we came up with is It was initially the Tea Party movement, right? The Tea Party was originally supposed to be this kind of left-wing idea that we were going to make a progressive wing within the Democratic Party. Then the Koch brothers came in, bought it all up, and then essentially turned into an extreme right-wing situation. And the whole thing was just hitting on any fact that the Democratic Party brings up, right? They just keep hitting it. And then all of a sudden, you have a candidate like Trump who isn't smart enough or nuanced enough to realize they weren't actually serious about most of the stuff they were saying, right? They were trying to fearmonger and bring up stuff just so they can kind of undermine this guy, but they weren't actually planning on cutting taxes in the way that he was cutting them. They weren't planning on actually doing the immigration policies the way that Trump ended up doing it. It was just propaganda.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, we create the monster."
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, then they lost complete control of the party, and now they're all enslaved to him. You know, so it's just like, it's a scary situation. And then from there, him then birthing the alt-right. Now you have an entire group of the country who just doesn't believe facts anymore.
Yeah, I believe now there's like. I always tell like I would love to be able to meet in the middle because there's the stream on both parts are so like doesn't make sense. Like both sides, both streams, they don't hear facts. You can tell them like, no, this happened.
Yeah.
This is the information.
Well, and then like also there is a contrast between the two sides. I feel like the one side is like, hey, I don't necessarily trust CNN,
okay,
but at the same time, I understand that the world is round. You know? And then you have the other side that is literally just like I don't trust anything unless I see it with my eyes. And it's like, so what's the wind to you? Like, it's just like there is a group that is just so divorced from facts that they will actually see a video of Trump saying something and then deny it happened. You know, they're like, oh, it's a deep fake. Okay, what about the 100,000 people that saw it? Like he keeps talking about his crowd size. There's a lot of people there.
This is the thing. I believe that from now on that the AI is getting so good. Like not in this case in particular, but we're gonna start seeing a lot of those of
that's
like
the scary
deepfakes.
Things. That's gonna keep happening, and then now that it started happening, they'll just be like, oh, that's just what they want you to believe. It's like that he said it with his words. And they're like, well, you can't prove it because I wasn't there. Like, well, that's not my fault that you weren't there.
But that's like. I believe the internet was the place we trusted for information, and now it's gonna be so overflown of misinformation that the trust is gonna be like I don't know what the fuck.
It's gotten worse from online stuff because you have the fake podcast people who are literally just like an individual entity who will get a microphone like this. Some of you even have another person on the other end, which I'm just like, if you have the other person, just do a podcast. Now you're just talking. Just do an actual podcast. But they'll make it they'll do like the red velvet background so it looks like they're on Joe Rogan's podcast. And everyone's like, oh, he's legit. Then you find out it wasn't real. And you'll have like all this. And then now AI is taking the faces and voices of influencers. And and the influencer's like, I didn't say that. But they have a video of me saying it, but I didn't say it. And they're like, well, there's no law on this yet.
Yeah, no, and this is like we're scratching the surface because these like the deepfakes are like from 20 years ago, but it was someone who was really good at it, like hacking one video and like putting knots and actually changing the vibe, like kind of manually. Now people can put a prompt, but if people can put a prompt and that shows up, imagine what these hackers from 20 years ago can do now.
Yeah. Well, and also like these days, I feel like we can still, to the discerning eye, we can still look and see that an AI thing is not real. You know, like I can look at a picture and just be like, the lighting is a little too perfect.
But had you been looking at the hands? They got really better with the hands.
Yeah, but my thing is, in 5 years, I think they might learn realism. Might learn actual realism. You know, like now it's like a little too picturesque, and I look at something like that's not a real photo, and then you find out it was AI. And then, but I think in like 5 years from now, maybe even less, you're gonna be looking at things that are like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I see the backgrounds. If you see a fucked up face in the background, it's like, okay, AI. But yeah, I believe in 5 years they're gonna learn like we need to do a good job
Yeah,
on the
we
background.
need to write some laws. We need to start doing some stuff.
We just
here.
got super political. Like, hey, listen to us. We need to write some laws about this. We need to regulate the media.
Yeah, we need to go to Schoolhouse Rock and remember that first you propose the bill, then the bill becomes the law.
There you go. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what the fuck is that.
You don't know what Schoolhouse Rock is? That's
No.
because you weren't born in the 90s? I don't know. What is it?
I was born in the 90s,
Oh, you weren't
but
born
in a
here.
country
Yeah,
that
you weren't
would.
born here. That was big. It was big. It was on TV here.
Nah, like I
It was how
watched.
everyone learned math and what a verb was and how to conjugate a verb.
I saw. I saw like Plaza Sésamo, and then
Mhm.
in Spanish, and then that's I learned
There you
from
go.
that.
See, I know nothing about what you just said. So
Pla-
really, I
Plaza
think
Sesame Street.
we should just end this. I don't know him.
Actually, we're gonna end it because we're on 34 minutes. So that was perfect. But again, we're gonna do the bonus content. I believe the bonus content will be good. I have a topic.
Yeah, we can talk about that, and also we can talk about other stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on, bro.
No.
No.
I have one.
No,
one-
no one cares about your topic.
Adios.
Bye.